Tu 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 desh go de. Ah 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 echo de. Tu 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 desh go de. Ah.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. You're just coming in. Welcome. Ja, det bin Aisha Cassandra Stouter Yenishia. Ashi Hinishle Auto Seminole Bashashin. So my name is Cassandra Stouter, and my mother's side comes from Salt Clan, Tisto, Arizona, and my father was full-blood Seminole from Okmulgee, Oklahoma. I'm currently the chair for this committee. I was okay, so our title's really, really long. So I wanted to bring this up. Can we just like break it down? I know so many acronyms, but RICC, R-I-C-C, Rural Indigenous Community Committee. Maybe that'll take some time to adopt, but that's the way I've been saving everything. So anyways, welcome to the Rural and Indigenous Community Committee. We gather as a subcommittee to the Arizona ACES Consortium, and I'm really happy that each of you have taken the time to come here. Today is going to be really special because we have Randy Begay, who is going to speak on his experience and his knowledge. He's a part of this committee and participates in a really good way. So I'm excited to hear from him, understand what he's got going in his community. So he'll share for quite a bit and then open up for Q&A at the end. But, you know, this is very kind of casual, just discussion, you know, just want to gather here and make sure that we're sharing and respecting the space and each other, the things that we have experienced and the things that we're learning. This is a learning and sharing space. So any ideas or solutions that pertain to prevention of ACEs within our Indigenous communities, with our children, families, and you know, those that are serving our community as well. So again, welcome. And I just want to encourage y'all, if you could put your camera on, that just builds more and more community as well, not to embarrass you or call you out, but you know, when we get to see each other in community, it does healthy things to our brains. So I just want to invite you that way. So so let me introduce Randy. Randy, are you good to go? I made you co-host in case you're good to go. Okay. Let me introduce you formally. So and just get my attention if you can't hear something or if I cut out. Just throw something at your screen and get my attention. So yeah, welcome again. So Randy Begay is our speaker today and is a support coordinator for the San Carlos Unified School District in San Carlos, Arizona. Mr. Begay is a member of the Dene Nation raised in the Wheatfields community. He primarily evaluates and implements district-wide student support services by collaborating with local service providers. including nonprofit organizations, tribal departments, and federal and state programs. Mr. Begay received credit and acknowledgement for implementing and coordinating a success coach program that ensures student safety and engagement in learning using the trauma-informed, culturally responsive model. Additionally, the most recent story about the school success coaching program was published by the Associated Press and aired on the local Phoenix News channel. A story on the success coaching program was also published in the Arizona Republic. Mr. Begay obtained a Master's of Science in Addiction Counseling from the Grand Canyon University and a Master of Education in Counseling from Northern Arizona University. Mr. Begay is pursuing a Doctor of Philosophy in Psychology with an emphasis in cognition and instruction. It is my honor to welcome Mr. Begay in. Take it away.
All right. I'm just gonna do a very quick sound check. Are you guys good? Great. Thank you for that introduction, Cassandra, and it's nice to see you again. Thank you for taking on that role as, coordinating all of these resources, important resources for all of us to tap into. So it's nice to meet everyone on this afternoon, Wednesday afternoon. So I hope everyone is doing well. Like Cassandra said, I'm Dene. So if there are any Dene professionals out there, Yad my plan is Bitani. Nishlido Tabaha Shishi Tohanda Shichi Kia Ani Dashinal. And I'm presenting to you from San Carlos Apache Reservation Tribe. Our school district, San Carlos Apache, or San Carlos Unified School District, is located here within the reservation. And if I can, share my PowerPoint, Cassandra. So I'm going to share with you some information.
Looks good. We can see it.
Okay, and here you go. We've been a part of the Arizona Consortium ACEs initiatives, I think going back to like 2017. And that is the time that I came on with the school district, working within the community as a youth mental health therapist, and I transitioned into the school district. And today's presentation is going to be on cultural success coaching, ACEs, cultural responsive. Oh, I'm not sure where this came from. Let me see. Okay, I don't know how to move. Let me just go back. I gotta edit my PowerPoint here, something. There's a little slide that just kind of snuck in there. Um, um, so here in San Carlos, we've been a part of the initiative, and we started observing the adverse childhood experiences a lot more, closer. And there are certain areas that led to the trauma-informed care model, which I'm gonna just kind of break down from, our understanding working with our students here. But to kind of just give a little bit of context around historical trauma, intergenerational trauma, um, I wanted to just kind of give you some information about the San Carlos Apache tribe. So pre 1800, this also goes for a lot of the Southwest Indian tribes and like native communities. There was an expansion, the U.S. expansion that made caused a significant impact for a lot of tribes. So here in Arizona, the San Carlos Apache tribe, they lived across the eastern Arizona, New Mexico. And they basically went around semi-nomadic, um, and they sustained a living through hunting, gathering, trading, and maintained a very strong kinship system that tied to the land. So these were the times when the tribes lived peacefully. And shortly after the Indian Wars came, which happened around mid 1800s. And this includes the Apache Wars with the U.S. military coming in, and their campaign involved basically the attempt to control the Apache lands following, the westward expansion. So this caused a lot of conflict for the Apache people, and this involved a forced removal from their territory. And this came with a lot of adverse experiences, including violence and imprisonment, starvation, and family separation. Okay. So this all took place in an effort to, as part of the U.S. Western expansion. In 1872, San Carlos Apache Reservation was basically established, not necessarily, like to have their own government, but the area was established as a confinement site, so like a concentration camp, and basically to relocate tribes, in the surrounding areas. So we have Mescalero Apache tribes, Yavapai Apache tribes, White Mountain, um, Chiricahuas, and just other bands, the Tonto Apaches. Um, so this is where they were all relocated. And of course, these are unfamiliar lands, and there were very limited resources. So if you look at the picture on top, the right, the right, uh, the picture to the right is um, is known as Old San Carlos. So this still exists. The foundations of these buildings are still there. And next to this area is the San Carlos Lake. But locally, this is referred to as the 40 acres of hell. This was a very harsh, area where the Apaches were not even able to hunt. They were not able to farm. So they relied on a lot of the rations, just to get by each day. And there were a lot of Apaches that were held here. Um, so um, so this was more kind of like a centralized area. Um, the old San Carlos became the center for federal initiatives, like, to begin their assimilation. And, that aimed at disrupting the Apache language, the Apache culture, and the Apache family structures. Because when you look at their the genogram and like how they established relationship. It's very systematic, and it's very specific, and each family had a role to support one another. So they were very structured in terms of like their kinship system. In 1936, this is when the Apache tribe became formally known as a federally recognized tribe. So it seems like it was just like very recent. Um, and this is the time when the Indian Reorganization Act, came into existence. So this allowed the San Carlos, Apache to establish themselves and try to restore, some type of order for everybody that was, held here. So when you look at this, these are historical disruptions that did not necessarily end in 1936, with the Indian Reorganization Act, giving them that independence to establish themselves as a government. But all of this historical trauma continued. It still continues today. It's influencing the community's well-being, family systems, and our students, experience all of these traumas every day. So this is, the community where I'm presenting to you from. So what is ACEs? So we all, took maybe have some exposure to the ACEs model. Maybe you might have taken, some training on this. But this is, basically the framework that we follow. ACEs, of course, is the adverse childhood experiences, any traumatic event experienced from birth to age 17. So, this could be abuse, neglect, or household challenges. The study itself started around 1995 to, like the later like 1990s, 1997. And this was a study that was done in partnership between CDC and Kaiser Permanente. And the findings were very significant, that, created the shift for healthcare, education. It seems like every aspect of like human services. So what the study indicated is that if an individual is exposed to any ACEs, any amount of ACEs, the more ACEs that they were exposed to or that they've experienced within their childhood, the likely that the risks are going to be, the higher the risks are going to be present. So meaning that risk behaviors such as substance abuse, chemical dependency, violence, and just like problems within like family relations or even like parental child relations. Okay, so this is what ACEs is. So here in the community, this is what we consider as prevalent adverses. Okay, a lot of physical abuse, our CPS, they're overwhelmed with the amount of cases they have, and this is just kind of like a nonstop situation where their cases just keep piling, or they're just like cycling through CPS. Emotional abuse, sexual abuse, emotional neglect, medical neglect, educational neglect, substance abuse, divorce, domestic violence, incarceration of caregiver, mental illness, bullying, homelessness, poverty, grief, and community violence. Okay, so these are all um, just situations that are prevalent here in the community that causes all of these problems um, for our students. Okay, I lost my PowerPoint. Okay, there's my screen. Okay. And here in the school, I just ran another, like analysis on, some of the patterns that we're seeing within our school district. And I think the highest one is truancy, chronic absenteeism, non-compliance, substance abuse, like from middle school all the way up to high school. Suicidal ideation is it's very high. Self-harming behaviors, poor academic performance, depression, anxiety, low self-esteem, physical and verbal aggression. So these are, like some of the patterns that we often recognize within our school district. I'm pretty sure, this is probably familiar and, just kind of across, other communities as well. Uh, okay. Trying to change my, okay, let's try this. Okay, I'm trying to change to the next screen.
Can you use your arrows?
Kind of stuck. Do you see arrows
Your
somewhere
arrows down there on your
Left.
keyboard?
on my keyboard?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Use your arrows on your keyboard.
It's not working.
Oh dear.
Try your space bar.
Space
That might
bar.
work.
Let me try. Yay! What? Hold on. Did it change?
No.
No.
Okay, I'm trying to get to the next slide.
Maybe restart it again and you'll just have to go through. And no worries, Randy, we're in it together.
Okay, are you guys seeing?
Got it? Yeah, it switched.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Awesome.
I don't see your faces anymore, so I don't know what happened there. But here's the screen. So going from this is basically what we understand within our district is, like happening with majority of our students. And we have about 1,300 students, K through 12, 99 point, maybe 97% are, local enrolled, tribally enrolled students. So knowing that and adopting the trauma-informed care framework, there are certain things that allowed us to prepare, and to start addressing, these traumas. So going from ACEs studies, trauma-informed care framework was basically, a framework that, was developed based on the ACEs study. So what trauma-informed care framework tells us is that this has a lot to do with the student's environment to ensure that we try to make it safe for our students and then also allow us to understand what trauma is so that we're able to have a better approach in addressing some of these behaviors. So The first thing that the trauma-informed care framework does for us is that it allows us to understand the prevalence and the impact of trauma and adversity. Okay. So it starts there. And then it goes to that we now need to recognize the effects of trauma and adversity. Okay. So first we need to understand, how trauma affects individuals. Okay. And then we have to understand within like our own district, working with our students, how that impacts each one of our students within our district. And then going from that to fostering more of a safety, trust, and empowerment, okay, creating these safe environments, welcoming, our students and making those important connections with them. Okay, so just using this to guide us, how we understand, how we recognize trauma affects individuals to guide us on how to interact with our students. And then integrating this framework, okay, integrating the knowledge, the research itself, understanding, the effects of it and integrating that into practice. So the district took some initiatives to bring in some experts and psychologists, licensed psychologists, therapists to help us understand more of, how to implement this as a practice. Okay. And the training came with, trauma awareness and, just really, understanding how to create, these safe environments for our students. The last piece is to avoid re-traumatization, and, try not to, trigger students to keep us from using, some of these like trigger words or approaching a student with a pressured speech. Just be more open and, like a caring approach. So this is what the trauma-informed care framework did for us. And down at the bottom, that helped us define, some of the trainings to kind of make this possible for us to incorporate, this framework and to put it into practice. So we have the mandatory reporting training, and let's see. QPR and Safe Talk, Suicide Prevention, Youth Mental Health First Aid, Commonwealth, SEL, ACEs, and even like drug recognition, and trauma-informed strategies, non-violent crisis prevention intervention strategies. Okay. So now going forward to the trauma-informed principles, I like to kind of, think of the principles as more of a kind of like a recipe. Okay. So you have your ingredients over on the left side, all of this trauma-informed care framework, the findings from the research and, other findings, to kind of strengthen the framework. And then on the right side is more of a kind of like a way to implement the trauma-informed care. So this is, they go hand in hand. So you have safety, trustworthiness, peer support, collaboration, empowerment. And what we're really going to emphasize today is cultural responsiveness. Okay. So cultural responsiveness is part of this trauma-informed principle. And what this tells us is that culturally responsive is a practice that focuses on cultural needs and addresses historical trauma. So basically, the trauma stems from the community, whatever the community experienced, like from the past, talking about historical traumas and intergenerational traumas, the healing has to come from the same place. The healing has to come from the community, okay, from the culture. So taking that, we as a district started focusing more on the cultural piece. Of course, we did everything from safety, which is to create a secure and welcoming environment that is non-threatening. So I'll talk about the care centers that are within each of our schools. Trustworthiness. This emphasizes building trust with students and involve them in discussions and transparency. So we have trained support staff, cultural success coaches who are, like in the care centers. So they manage the care centers, and they are available for all students, where students can go and connect with our cultural success coaches. Peer support, integrated shared experiences is key to building safety, trust, and healing. So the cultural piece is more a collaborative approach, meaning, just taking students and bringing them together to have them experience their culture together, and to be able to have this shared experience. Collaboration, foster mutual support and partnership. This is working with our local communities. And then also just within our district, we have our parent educators. We have our lead parent educator, Cheryl Houses. Where are you? So we work hand in hand. This is a joint effort. This is a teamwork effort between the cultural success coaching program and then also the parent educator program. We also extend our partnership into the community, working with the local hospitals, the wellness centers, and CPS, and even with the local tribal leaders. And then empowerment is just working with students to gain those skills to be more self-sufficient, independent, around coping with like some of those struggles. So now culturally responsive practices. Okay. We as a district saw that the culture itself, the Apache singing, Apache drumming, and then also observing some of the ceremonies that are still conducted here in the community, including sunrise dances. Sunrise dances are ceremonies that are specifically for females, a coming of age ceremony. And this is where all of the community come together, relatives and, whoever is invited to contribute. Okay, so it's where the local members come together to help with the ceremonies. So through these cultural practices in the community, what's left as, like cultural beliefs and practices. There are individuals who are very influential, okay? So here we have the Apache drumming group. So the school district found a way to provide some of these opportunities for our high risk. So these are students who come from just various types of settings, whether they have support in the home or not, whether they are experiencing barriers, struggles, where they are disconnected. But there are some indication that they are not engaging in school, and some of the behaviors are fairly significant, to where maybe they're, some of the boys that you see here might have been suspended from school or on a path to expulsion. But the Apache group was grounded in the Apache culture itself, and this group was intended to support healing and also support identity and belonging among at-risk boys. Okay, so, and working with this model, evaluating that, even further, it was a way for our students to use this as a protective and a restorative force, okay, in response to the historical trauma or, traumas that they were experiencing in the homes. So the picture on the left, the Apache Cultural Drumming Circle, we have a local mentor, okay? The mentors are knowledgeable, okay? They have extensive understanding and knowledge of some of the songs. So I remember when I participated in this drumming group after bringing this individual into our school, this is where they were talking about a song that was about horses. And there were 4 songs that he shared with the young boys. These are middle school aged students. And he described or talked about each of the songs and what they meant. And the idea behind that was that these students could understand the meaning and how that ties to their belief, and also, how these songs tell a story. This, type of mentorship went on for, several weeks, maybe up to maybe a couple of months. And then the transformation was amazing. So what started as, a risk and, a disconnection for our students, it became more of a place of healing and becoming more belonging through a culture-based drumming led by our local leaders or traditional practitioners. So on the right side, this is where they have learned the songs, and now that they were sharing, those songs at a local event. So now, they are independent. They are supportive of one another, and they're now encouraging one another. So this was a very, special place for all of our students to just, freely express, themselves, their thoughts, and being able to just, take in the songs and also to experience the beat of, like the drum. So there were other sessions where they learned about the significant meaning of the drum and then also the drumsticks, okay, and then how they were utilized in an actual ceremonial setting. Okay, so this right here is like your first group of Apache cultural drumming circle that began, and this is like from 2019 that ran all the way through the pandemic, and we still have these drumming groups going as like as of today, and they are all led by local Apache, like employees who are sponsoring these groups. This group evolved for a lot of our students to where they had the opportunity to travel. One of the places they went to was the Big Cypress, Florida, and that's where they were invited to perform as part of like a cultural event with the Big Cypress Seminole tribe. Other places where our students had an opportunity to go is some of the Arizona, like state functions for, like superintendent, conferences. They also performed in Las Vegas last year, where we had an opportunity to present this model. So they also performed in Page, Arizona. So they get invited to, like certain places to just, share their singing and then their dancing. Okay. The trauma-informed practices in education. So the cultural success coaching piece and the care center, these are both based on the trauma-informed care model. And it's combined with a student-centered approach. So using all of the trainings from ACEs and the, like the Commonwealth, and then also the suicide prevention, QPR, Safe Talk. So all of these trainings, we're able to implement, some of these practices. So care centers are established within the schools, and they provide like the basic necessities. But as far as like providing those student support services, one of the things that we emphasize the most is this relationship-centered practices with our students, meaning daily check-ins and then checkouts, greeting students by their name, building trust before addressing behavior. So these are just kind of like some of the things that you have to have in place in order to work with a student. Emotional regulation and coping support. There are calming areas, calming rooms, where a student can go if they're not ready to talk. They can learn to just self-regulate. Okay. So some of the things that we, or the care centers, the success coaches teach our students to do or to learn as part of self-regulation is deep breathing and mindfulness exercises. And there are other coping skills that we share with our students that are a little bit more creative, like listening to music and drawing or just coloring and stuff like that. But there's always a place for them where they can, do some of these or practice some of these self-regulation techniques. And then trauma responsive is learning to de-escalate. the behaviors before the behaviors get any worse. And then also focusing on understanding triggers and unmet needs. So again, this is just using all of these different trainings combined into just a set of like strategies that we use. The care centers and cultural success coaching, what you will find in the care centers are like clothes, hygiene items, shoes, jackets, school supplies, food, water, food and water if they're available. Like middle school, high school, they do have shower and laundry services with parental consent. And then also the nurses would provide, these access to these resources. The role of the cultural success coach is basically, they're trained to identify, they're trained to basically triage student and identify the risk behaviors and also to contact the local, like services such as healthcare, emergency room, or emergency department, and then also like the local crisis intervention services. They're also trained to do one-on-one coaching and academic growth, personal, social development, and then also cultural growth and identity. Okay, so this is just an example of some of the things, that came out of, like the district-wide initiative is, a story by Associated Press, Native American students in the school at higher rates. It only got worse during the pandemic. So in this story, there was a focus on the care center and the cultural success coaches providing, some of those support services to try to get students back into back into school, whether it was giving them clothes, giving them those basic needs that they needed so that they can feel comfortable. So two of our cultural success coaches were interviewed, Jason Jones, and he is our guru at the high school and probably knows every single student at the high school. He's on top, and then also Paula Wilson at the bottom. So these are two of our like support staff that have been with the district for a while, and they understand the trauma our students experience. So they are local from the San Carlos Apache community, and we have 6 other cultural success coaches who are also from the local community. And they are all cross-trained to work in any setting within the school district. And like I said, all of the schools have their own success coach teams, and they work in pairs to help students with emotional support, and then also with basic needs. Okay, so I just didn't put everybody's picture here, but this is from the article. Along with this, there was a story, just based off of this article that ran locally here in the Phoenix area, and then a story that was published in the Arizona um, um, Republic newspaper. And here are all the trainings that our cultural success coaches are trained in as trainers. suicide prevention, adverse childhood experiences, trauma-informed practices, restorative practices, classroom management, and then also community building activities for students, for teachers and students.
Was
Right.
incredible.
So yes. So let me just share a very quick
Sure.
video
Yeah.
if I can. And you can find this video on YouTube. And this is just basically sums up everything that, that demonstrates our initiative.
In the face of unrelenting challenges, some rise above, not because they are born with more strength, but because they refuse to surrender to adversity. Shivkajo is an Apache value. I am in harmony. I am in balance with everything around. This is the foundation of our culturally responsive trauma-informed initiative. The Apache people, the ancient and fierce, have faced the trials of time, wars, hardships, and relentless battles, yet they stand unbroken. Powered in that provides safe confidence, reconciliation of Western knowledge and wisdom. Through generations of struggle, the Apache people and they have learned one undeniable truth. Success is not handed down. It's earned through resilience, courage, and a deep connection to the spirit of the land. Care centers in each school are a key part of Shikojo, working closely with organizations like the San Carlos Apache Healthcare Corporation, San Carlos Apache Wellness Center, and other SCUSD initiatives within our school system. These partnerships focus on helping our students overcome adversity and social challenges that may affect their learning. In every challenge, we see an opportunity to rise, to fight, to overcome. Whether on the battlefield or in the face of personal trials, we've always found a way forward. Adversity is no stranger to those who strive for greatness, but it's in the hardest moments that we find in which we are. Even when the Lord is against us, the fire within can never be extinguished. By connecting our students with a strong foundation of culturally responsive resources, care centers are designed to support their success, safety, and overall well-being. Centers empower students thrive through effect, enabling them to achieve Shikojo, a state of balance and harmony in their educational journey. Today, the Apache people continue to break barriers. Our legacy is not just one of survival, but its triumph. From the dust of the past, we rise as innovators, trailblazers, and symbol of strength. To overcome, to endure. This is the Apache way.
Okay, so that is going to conclude my presentation for this afternoon. So thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, so much, Najoniet. That was a very nice presentation. Thank you for your preparation and coming and sharing such a wonderful presentation. We have just over 5 minutes, so I'll facilitate shares. If you can just raise your digital hand, if you have any questions or comments, now's the time.
Mhm.
Cassandra,
Yeah, come on in.
my the seeing the graduates on the field, looks like the football field during the high school graduation ceremony, and they're looks like they're dancing, the boys and the girls. And to me, I think that's from a cultural dance, and that's cool. That is very awesome to see that, right? Showing off that culture at a mainstream U.S. institutional event. I mean, they made it. You made it part of your own. That's good to see, I think.
Yeah, I
Yes, that
agree.
was our superintendent and with her students, during a graduation, doing a social dance and our own, like Apache boys, just sharing some of their social dancing songs. It was a very, like a special moment.
That was a great video too. I love all the colors and all of that. Come on in, Waylon.
Um, and also, it flashed on the screen 65% unemployment rate. That certainly contributes to some of the challenges that students are going to have in the classroom. And that's, you hate to say it, beyond the school district's control, right? That's a tribal government thing about how do you create jobs and improve the economy. I think the unemployment rate right now in the US is like around 4%. And here we are, reservations at 65%. I've heard other reservations at 50%. It's so hard. It really is. It's so unfortunate. And then you on the front end, Mr. Begay, you're dealing with that, and all of you that are trying to help our kids. And it's just something that's way beyond our control, your control.
Cheryl, come
Yes,
on
thank you
in.
for that feedback.
I just want to commend Randy on doing a great job. We really depend on him and the cultural success coaches to really help our students in our schools. And, we're really proud of them and what they've done. Like he said before, we work hand in hand. My program works with the homeless youth. So we do a lot of our kids are going to go see him. So there's a lot of things that we work with together. But you know what? His presentation was awesome, and the things that he's doing in the school is very commendable. And we're proud of Randy to be part of our San Carlos Unified School District team.
Thank you, Cheryl. We're always proud of you too. Doing a wonderful job.
I love that support. Are you guys hiring? Hey. Thank you all again for showing up. We have time for one more short share and then we'll start to wrap it up. Anyone else want to jump in? Any relatives?
Yeah, I'm a relative.
Come on in.
I'm trying to turn on my camera, but it's not letting me. Good afternoon, everybody. Um, Randy is my big brother. So hopefully he'll let me say some words for 30 seconds. Great presentation, brother. Everybody, hello. My name is Eric Deschini from Rough Rock Community School. I'm a traditional counselor here. So we share a lot, me and Randy, back home. I learned a lot from him, and it is true. I noticed that singing and drumming really makes a difference. Then getting them out of the comfort zone, even such as just thinking throughout Indian country, a teepee, a sweat lodge, a hogan, a different location besides a classroom setting. These are some of the things that we share. Also, traditional foods, and it really it's healing. It's really good therapy. So I just want to say thank you, Randy, Mr. Begay, for his studies, and it's a great presentation. And one thing that we talk about too is vaping. It's really out of control, and how we can present how our ancestors use a tobacco, and how some of the tobacco songs and prayers, and give it back to the youth in that way, besides just vaping, which leads to, of course, meth and fentanyl. but our people, Indigenous people, they really did offerings, and they sang and they prayed for mental health. And just want to share that with you. And this one thing that we talk about too, myself and Randy. So thank you. And then one day, hopefully, I'll visit Randy again in his office. Thanks. That's all I want to share. Appreciate it.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
beautiful to
All
see
right. Good to see you,
family
brother.
members here. Well, that concludes our committee meeting today. Looking forward to meeting again next Wednesday in March. Oh my gosh. Wednesday, March 4th, 1 to 2 p.m. And we've been trying to grow this committee. I've only been here just a few months. So that's always been goal number one, bring our relatives. And for me, doesn't matter how many ABCs behind your name, even our youth, even our elders, I want to know what their ideas are and what they have to share. If we can lend voice to that, I think that's important on this topic. So again, I'll send out a reminder after this meeting, and you'll get the notes and the recording. And next month, we'll have a call to men Native American Healing Circle worker. He's a advocate, speaker, counselor, just all in it for all of our Indigenous fathers across the nation. And so he's a part of that organization, A Call to Men. His name is Chuco Ruiz from the Pasco Yaqui tribe, and he'll be our speaker next month. I think that, shedding some light on our fathers is also important. There's so many different aspects working into this. But thank you all. I hope you have a wonderful afternoon, and we'll see you next month.
Thank you.